Verulam School in St Albans. It's reacting to the Sabina Nessa and Sarah Everard murders in a practical way. New head teacher Julie Richardson is implementing consent workshops that focus on sexual violence towards women and teaching young boys how to be respectful.
As schools, we have to be really proactive and we have to prioritise the teaching of PSHE and RSE topics alongside maths, English, science, all of the core subjects, so that we are not just, creating individuals with really strong academic results, but also individuals who are going into the world as good human beings and are equipped to keep themselves safe and to be respectful of others.
What is the link between the Sabina Nessa and the Sarah Everard cases and the workshops that we're seeing in your school today?
I think, unfortunately, the cases themselves are just a symbol, if you like, of the issue that we have in society with sexual harassment and violence and how prevalent this is. And if anything, those cases have shone a light on the number of voices that exist out there. But we're very mindful as an all-boys school that those voices are not just female voices that are victims. As we found with our workshops, 1 in 6 voices are male, and we never really hear about that in the media.
14-year-old students Edward and Finley felt the workshops were really useful.
It's quite shocking and scary to think about, and it sort of shows that sort of thing is happening and that we need to talk about it, and so if it happens to us, we know what to do and how to stop it earlier.
I'd say I was quite shocked in general, but it didn't necessarily directly affect me because it's more talk about women being safe and how men are the problem. And yes, men are the problem, but that doesn't mean it's all men, because it just means we need to educate the men who are the problem. And that does mean cutting off the problem where it starts. So our age, for example, would probably be the ideal age to cut off that problem and to show why we need to respect women more. If we can just stop the problem at the source before it gets serious or starts or just in general becomes bad, then it'll really help for the future and affect women's lives in the future for the positive.
What would you say to people who say that this isn't the school's responsibility, this is on the parent to educate their son?
The sad reality is that sexual violence and harassment happens and there is no set age in which it affects people. So it's really difficult to determine as a parent, when the right time is. Some parents find these topics really challenging and avoid them. And I believe that knowledge is power, and if we're all, as schools, giving students the knowledge in order to stay safe but also treat others in a respectful way, then society should improve and be better.
The consent lessons at Verulam also focus on sexual violence against men.
There's a lot of stigma around men talking about it and men experiencing it in general, so they don't know where to get help after they've experienced it, and it's quite hard for them to get help in general because there's not that many organisations as there are for women, for example.
So you're only 14, you're only in year 10. Do you think it's important to learn about sexual violence in society at this age?
Yeah, because we are all boys and therefore it's going to affect us a lot more than it does the stuff about women. Although we have to be careful and we have to respect women, we also have to be careful about ourselves and how we're coping with situations.
Edward and Finley both feel they want the workshops to be extended to all schools as part of the national curriculum.
Consent is extremely important just in general, overall, for anything you're doing, really. And it's quite important for both genders to be aware of this so that they can properly give consent or just choose not to give consent.
Ellie Costello, GB News.